Welcome to the Parentrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Haynes, with my wife, Savannah Haynes. Today, we wanted to talk about, a little topic. You might have heard of it called AI or artificial intelligence, and give our opinions because,
oh boy,
like most things, we're either fully aligned or we are on separate sides of a subject, and I think that keeps things interesting.
For sure.
So for me, for those who don't know, again, I own a software engineering company. I build software for other businesses. I co-founded a company that does that. So I work with AI every day. And AI helps our business run more efficiently and us produce better code and validate code. And we have clients who want to integrate AI. So it's something I'm quite familiar even though I'm I'm a very technical, non-technical founder.
Yeah.
I can do a little bit of coding, but my side is more of the management, growth, and client growth side. And then Savannah.
I own a magazine with my sister, and AI is not necessary in our field. Can we move this up?
Yeah, now you can.
Yeah, it's not necessary in our field. I have a couple interesting stories about how it has been involved, but I have a very different take on it. I'm not completely against it, but I definitely have a bit more of a hesitant and possibly somewhat negative view of it. So
let's talk about what is AI. I'm no AI expert, but I've used it enough and I'm in the tech scene enough to see what people are saying. Some people think it's the next best thing. It's going to replace all of our jobs. And other people in the tech scene are saying that it's getting worse. I'll say this. There's one opportunity I would say, there's one opportunity I would say that no one seems to be talking about. And that is like, what does AI look like in the future? So, you guys know what AI is. What is AI in a brief version? It is a large language model. And that model is able to, essentially it's algorithms that can process large amounts of data. It does a really good job with language, as it is in the name. And so that's why with language-related things, it does a really good job. Or language-related tasks, it does a really good job. Or coding, it does a fantastic job at. Why? Because coding is a language. It's a coding language. And so it's able to process a ton of information and scrape a whole lot of information that is fed through us humans, infallible humans, into some kind of,
infallible?
Yeah, and did I say fallible? Is it infallible? Fallible?
I think it's fallible.
Fallible, yeah.
Yeah.
Fallible.
I think, unless I'm wrong.
Essentially, AI is
Yeah.
only as good as the information it's intaking, and newsflash, it's intaking incorrect information, and oftentimes it's even very agreeable. Have you noticed how AI will just kind of tell you whatever it wants?
Whatever you're looking for, yes, yeah.
To say?
I've seen that. And the way that people will ask it questions.
Yes.
Will give very agreeable answers.
Yes.
Even if it's opposite of what a similar question asked differently says.
Yeah. So essentially AI, in trying to break this down into the most fundamental terms, it is logic built through algorithms that can process a ton of data and presumably can get better and better as we figure out the modeling behind how it processes information. But right now, it is, like we talked about, the negative is it's very agreeable right now. And some even would say that AI has been getting worse. Some of the most recent models that's been released, it tells you what it thinks it wants you to
what it thinks
hear.
You want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it even makes things up. We caution always throwing AI into the mix of building any software because we're like, if this is a customer facing thing, you really have to be careful that it is there's some stopgap, because the usage is not free. So if you build some kind of cool tool or MVP and you attach it to ChatGPT or any other API through any of like Claude, Grok, whatever, like that costs money. And so that means that if there's no stopgap from stopping someone from just running up the bill, it'll cost you thousands of dollars. So that's one big business problem. And two, you can oftentimes, like through really good coding, do most of what people are saying without having to bring in the influence of AI. And three, it also just makes things up. So there's people who are trying to create like education businesses with AI. There's plenty of people we've talked to. When we had the original business idea, building MVPs and validating them, everybody was like, I'm doing this thing but with AI. I want AI avatars, I want AI this. And what we kept having to tell these non-technical potential founders was, cool, what happens when they make stuff up? What happens when it hallucinates? It's a real thing. AI hallucinations, like it'll just make things up out of thin air, and you won't be able to distinguish oftentimes what was real and what isn't, unless you fact check it. And I really appreciate Grok, and I believe Claude will put in like the asterisks, and you'll be able to source where it's pulling the data from. But that's not always the case. So that's kind of the downsides, right? That's what I'm hearing on the front lines of as a user and also being in the tech space. But there's something that I feel like many people aren't necessarily talking about. I either hear two sides of it. It's like it's going to become a supercomputer and take everything away from us, or it's like nothing and it's nothing to worry about and it's a little tool and people are just kind of casting it aside. But here's the actual opportunity in AI that I feel like no one is talking about if you're an entrepreneur. I think that with anything, there is a counter swing, meaning that AI is going to continue to increase in usage. I'm not denying that. And with that increase in usage, I think there's going to be a counter swing in the other direction of people wanting to do human first companies. Worst case scenario, even if it takes away our jobs, I think it'll create a different swing in a subculture of business where it's like, hey, we do this, but instead of doing it with AI, we do it with real people, and you pay a premium. Like just like with conferences, does it make sense for people to go to conferences? Like you can be on Zoom, you can Slack people, you can call them, you can text them. There's so many forms of ways that you can do business and interact with people. But why do people still go to conferences? When we shut it down in 2020 for a year or two, what happened? Like conferences, when it opened back up, had a huge resurgence, and it stayed really popular. It's like still climbing, which shows that people actually like a human element to business. They like shaking people's hands. Like they don't mind the salesperson coming in the front door or writing them a letter. They appreciate the tangible, and that's why you can start a magazine in 2025, is because I think that there's this counter swing in some of the old and familiar.
Yeah. For us, we're kind of a mostly anti-AI company. That's something that me and my co-founder and sister agree upon, is that if any piece of writing comes across our desk and it sounds and feels like AI, like we're digging into that.
Yeah.
It's not going in the magazine as an AI written piece, because we value human creation. And I think that's kind of where we've landed, is that, again, we're not 100% anti-AI. We're extremely cautious, but we refuse to use it for any type of creation work. So we have involved it for like anywhere that maybe it can fill in a gap that we don't have a software that can do that, which is essentially it is what it is. It is, yeah. So we use it as just a software,
as a tool,
as a tool. When we have interviews recorded, and in the beginning, Sydney would go through and have it transcribed, and then have to find every filler, every word like that and backspace it manually. And
Yeah.
it took her forever. And it was awful. It was such a waste of time. So, one thing that it's been helpful with is doing that quickly. So she doesn't have to manually backspace everything. There's no creation in that. It doesn't feel like it's taking away from anything, I guess, meaningful, but it's just using it as a tool. That's the extent of
Helping you iterate and move a little bit quicker.
yeah, that's the extent of our use with it. And occasionally if we're stuck on, maybe some idea generation, we don't take anything exact from it, but just to kind of get our juices flowing, our brains like spinning. We'll use it to kind of help us in that way occasionally, but that's pretty rare too. We really try to pull from the depths of our own brains.
Yeah.
But in parent entrepreneurship, I mean, we're in this sleepless newborn days. We have a 3-month-old. Sometimes there's not a lot in my brain to pull from.
And that is the nice thing about ChatGPT, Claude, Grok. Like, I do appreciate that at times that I'm like, I'm trying to figure out where to go with this, and I can just word salad into it and give it a prompt of like, hey, this is kind of what I'm going for with this thing, and you just like word vomit everything that you're thinking in your brain, and then it can at least give you a good version 1 that you can refine and refine and refine. And I feel like that's really helpful.
Yeah.
When you kind of get in those stuck moments.
Yeah, that's true. Outside of business, I have used it for some meal planning ideas.
Did it work well?
Yeah, that's some of the stuff I've been pulling from.
Yeah.
I gave it very specific parameters about how we eat whole, nourishing foods. Very Weston A. Price leaning or Ray Peat leaning, and then it gave like a whole week's worth of dinner ideas that kind of fall into line with those kind of eating habits.
Right.
So a tool, right? But
AI is only good as good as what you give it. And again, it's based off the information you give it and the prompting that you give it. So I always explain, like, treat it as a virtual assistant.
yeah.
Like, you have to give it explicit instructions on what you're wanting it to do. Because if you feel like you're using AI or ChatGPT and it's not getting you what exactly you need, it's because you're being too vague in general, just like anyone else. So the ability, again, it can process information well, but if you're giving it a ton of information and you're not giving it enough direction, just like anyone else, it's going to give you a generic junk that just doesn't really help. And so, yeah, that's an important point of, like, the more specific you can be, the better results you're going to get from it.
Yeah, I think I even said like kid-friendly meals. Just so many descriptors. But otherwise, like, I mean, that's about it. Like, I will occasionally turn to it as a tool, but otherwise, I'm like, any squeals you hear are 3-month-old sleeping on me currently.
By this point, I hope you already know that.
Yeah, hey.
If not,
we barely have any
welcome to the
listeners.
podcast.
But otherwise, I'm like, I want to stay away. I've seen some people putting in pictures of their toddlers and asking it to show them what they look like at 5 years old or 10 years old. And apparently if you do it in reverse, like with somebody who's older, like you can take a baby picture, it's pretty accurate. That kind of stuff, that, I don't know. I don't think we were meant to be able to see our kids' faces into the future. I think we just need to live that.
Oh, I
so
agree.
that kind of stuff gets, like, just morally, I have questions. And that's not something that I want to touch it for or utilize it for. Like, it just feels wrong to me. I don't know. Maybe people listening might think I'm kind of weird for that, but there's just something about that that just
Savannah,
is dystopian.
She's a Luddite. I'm a little bit more forward. She's a little bit of a Luddite, but we appreciate what each other pulls out of the other person.
I think we
manners.
maybe end up landing more in the middle than we think.
100%.
Possibly.
Yeah. But if we had to give our opinions, we usually end up on not opposite spectrums, but differing opinions.
Yeah. Anytime he's like, well, AI, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Or oftentimes. So
that's because most people talk about AI, and I will admit I know surface level about AI, but most general population people truly have no idea what they're talking about with AI, and they have really strong opinions that are really unfounded, and you don't know
Yeah.
this technology. You don't even know how this works.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just a database, right?
It's just the model and how it processes information. It's truly algorithms.
Yeah.
And then we just feed it different algorithms so that it can process data differently, and we continue to refine the model until it gives us what we're hoping for.
Right.
But and that's part of the what I want to talk about today was what about this whole thing, AI taking our jobs? It's the inevitable. Here's the thing: the same about taking our jobs was said about computers. The same was said about, well, when we get computers, we're not going to need any of our workforce. And that's kind of what I wanted to touch on was some of it's true. We
Some
don't
things
have
could be
file
replaced.
cabinets, rooms of file cabinets, and a manager of files. We have a desktop with files and Google Drive.
Yeah.
And isn't that a great thing? Because some things become irrelevant. And I think that that's the point I want to make here is like, AI will replace some jobs. For sure. But I think AI will help in most areas more than it will take away necessary jobs. And we may disagree on this because here's what we're also, I don't hear people talking about. One, I don't hear them talking about the counter swing. Maybe someone has. I don't hear many people talking about the counter swing of what AI will create, which will be human first companies.
Yeah.
I believe that.
I'll be on that.
Hey, you got one.
We'll spearhead that movement.
Dude, I'm there for it. And the second one is, okay, if AI does replace a lot of jobs, maybe it's like data entry and customer service, like things that are relatively menial, limited number of inputs, outputs that, okay, yeah, in reality, we could get a very, very complicated piece of software, a computer, AI to do it for us. Yeah, and you know what's going to happen when those jobs are no more? It's going to happen just what happened with the IT industry. Think about IT in like 1980. I think in like 1980, the amount of IT jobs was like 3% or like 4%. And then fast forward to like the 2020s, and it's like 60 or 70%. I don't remember the actual figures, but it was something to that caliber. It was like a single percentage point 40 years ago. Now look, and it's majority of our jobs touch technology in some capacity.
Yeah, other jobs will come around.
And that's my exact point.
Yeah.
Is no one's talking about, everyone's talking about the job replacement, but I think there's going to be a whole, just like with IT, there's going to be a whole other subsector of jobs around training AI or AI related tasks, or like I think there's even like contracting companies like that you can pick up gigs online and they have you train AI. You have to go in and like do tasks for it to feed it certain information to human validate some information that it's looking for to help the model.
Yeah. And that's
And so,
not
like,
going to end.
That's not going to end.
It's going to constantly need, human validation, fact checking, etc.
Right, and there's going to be sub companies and subcultures and sub industries that I think we just don't even imagine of like what all will AI touch.
But does part of you ever feel like we've made enough progress? That like, yes, like computers made a huge difference in efficiency, but like, are we good now? Like, we've got all this efficiency. Can we be happy with this?
It's a really good point. I think the human curiosity can't be quenched.
Interesting.
Even if it leads to our detriment, potentially.
Yeah.
It's like Adam and the apple.
Yeah.
Like, we can't not know and experience.
Yeah.
Like, we have to go down that road.
Yeah. As humanity, not necessarily each individual person, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's probably true.
And again, I'm somewhere square between the AI is going to like be super intelligent and it's going to be all knowing, and people who are on the opposite spectrum. I'm somewhere in the middle where I think I kind of fall on the Peter Thiel method of things. I think the best case scenario is it's people with computers, not computers replacing people.
Yeah.
Like the best case scenario of how this all operates well is that AI helps enable people, not replaces them. And I'm just skeptical that based off what I'm seeing so far and the models that they're pushing out, it doesn't seem like we're continuing to hit huge strides as quickly as we thought. And I might be wrong. It could continue to be. But I'm skeptical about the whole superintelligence. And there's actually a few tech leaders in the space who are skeptical as well that that's even possible.
I guess only time will tell.
Yeah. Because people talk about it all the time. Even now, they're like, have we reached it? Or Sam Altman just tweeted recently, he's like, we've already gone past the point of no return. Like, this train has already started and there's no turning back the clocks. And I don't know. He also said similar things like 3 years ago. And yes, have the models got better in some ways? Sure. But some would argue that some of them have gotten worse, you know?
Yeah.
Again, it's only as good as the information that it can gain. I guess my point is, again, being a novice in AI and working with it enough to know that it's only as good as the information we give it, and it's getting incorrect data from incorrect humans.
Yeah.
And even like if it was so smart, like it would be able to rationalize even some basic things, but already it gets really it does some things really well and does some fundamental things like poorly. And you're telling me it's going to be, we're on the cusp of superintelligence. I'm just not seeing it yet.
Yeah. I think the gap between the two, like camps like pro AI and anti AI, I think that gap is going to continue to widen. I feel like, I find myself, again, even though I've used it as a tool minimally, I still find myself in the camp of like, let's return to a lot of the old ways of doing things, because I think that there's a lot to the old ways of doing things. There is a difference between typing a note on your phone, whether that be through a keyboard, like a clicky keyboard or like a touchscreen keyboard, versus pen to paper. There is a difference in a satisfaction that comes with that.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's just better. Now, it's a funny example because I oftentimes cannot get to a notebook with a pen because I have a child. Right. So I have to resort to my notes in my phone, but I would prefer, the pen to paper, or like, I think that there's a lot of benefits to us as humans doing things in the way that humanity did them for most of time before now. I think that there's something to be said in the toil of it. And again, that's not me like, rejecting all progress that we've made. It has made other things possible. I think that if I lived fully Amish, I wouldn't have the margin to create a magazine like I'm doing now. Yeah. Because a lot of tasks and things did take up so much time. But at the same time, I think that there's so many things, there's a reason that, especially in the space that I work in, and the reason I'm in the space is because I'm drawn to it and agree with it. But, making food from scratch with your own hands rather than picking it up at the store, like the satisfaction is different if you're connected enough. I think that we can get to a place where we're so disconnected that we're like, there's no difference. But if you're truly connected, I think that, there's a lot of benefit in going back to the old ways of a lot of things. But I think we live in a great time where we have the option of both. And we kind of get to pick and choose which old ways resonate the most with us. Right. And then not have to worry about some of the other ones. But
we're at the age of having your cake and eating it too. In some capacity.
Yeah.
Where like this was a way you had to live. You had to raise chickens because you had to feed your family.
Now you can raise them if it's something that you enjoy.
Now it's like what rich people do.
Something that, well, oftentimes, yeah. if it's something you enjoy, if it's something that is a value of yours that you want to be closer to the process of your food. But it's a want now. It's not even a necessity. Which is so crazy. So I think there's so much nuance to the conversation of where AI is taking us and how many tasks it's taking that we don't have to do or worry about, or all of our technology, and all of the progress. But I also think that, there's a deeply ingrained satisfaction from toiling for things physically, that a lot of us are missing now.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to more of the human element than it does technology. I think people can point a finger at technology and say like that's to blame, but really it's allowing ourselves to get into those habits that's more of the problem. Because you're right. Isn't it crazy how the more we live like an agrarian lifestyle culture, that every health marker seemingly does better? Like we get morning light, we get evening light, we have physical activity where we don't have to pretend to lift weights up and down because we're naturally picking things up and walking around. We're not walking around our neighborhood and on treadmills because we're walking across our farmland and toiling.
Because we have to, yeah.
Because we have to, and we're eating food that we've grown because that's what we do, you know? The more we live like that, the better our bodies are. So all that to say about AI, that is our desires to, I always say that I'm a tech bro, just trying to make it big enough so that I can buy whatever piece of land I want and, raise cattle.
Right.
Is like what our desire is to get closer to nature and to our food. And, but I appreciate technology and I love my job, and technology and coding has a really tangible benefit that my company offers to other businesses, where I get to see employees going from spending like 3 hours doing silly manual inefficiencies to automating tasks where they can actually focus on like doing more enjoyable work or more customer service. Like, that's so tangible. But
and my company wouldn't exist without technology either. Magazine design,
and Shopify, and
creation,
and Facebook ads.
So it's very necessary to what we're doing as well. But
you have to know the limitations of where technology needs to end in your life, and I feel like most of us haven't figured that out.
Yeah.
So let's catastrophize this. Let's finish this out on catastrophizing this further. You know our opinions. You know what we think about what might happen with the sub-industries and the counter industries that's going to happen if AI continues to progress in the way that I think it is, which is still with great utility. I have skepticism about superintelligence. I just haven't seen anything really corroborating that other than us playing out math. It's just like how we do with anything else of the globe warming up or our birth rates. We just catastrophize it and say, well, if it continues on, we're going to be dead in 10 years. I think that's the same kind of math we're running with superintelligence. It's like, if this keeps going, it's like, but is it going to keep going in the way that it has? Going 0 to 1 and like 0 to 2 and 0 to 3, like there's going to be huge improvements that you should make when you just start something and you're able to continue to move it forward. But I don't know that it can keep up the momentum of improvements, even with all the resources and talent that's behind it at such a fast rate. And it doesn't seem, and I think most developers and people in tech would agree, it doesn't seem like it's making huge strides right now. And especially
kind
when
of like
people,
the iPhone, like the first version to the second version was super different. It used to be such a big deal to get the next model because there were so many new cool things, and now it's like they're basically all the same, kind of like that.
100%. I think that's it. And I think that's most software.
But AI is not making those huge leaps at the beginning.
There's a philosophy around software that actually most software and software products would better benefit the user by pulling more out than adding more to it. And that I just wonder if that could be the same with AI. Is like yes, it's a large language model, meaning that it's designed to process a ton of information and contextualize a lot of information through building the model to be able to do that and to be able to pull from data sources and logically through algorithms think through problems. But again, I'm not a large language model engineer, so I don't know, but I just wonder.
Oh, you're going to catastrophize it?
Yes. So to catastrophize us all, if this does take away our jobs and it automates everything and 80-90% of our jobs are gone, I am in the Naval Ravikant camp, who is the AngelList founder, and he's been on a few podcasts. He's a philosopher and a successful person. You can tell he's like probably 100 millionaire plus, but he almost lives like a Buddhist. Like he's very he realizes it's all for nothing, and he's very honest with himself. And I really appreciate that authenticity. But he says, if AI did automate everything, he says, I think it'll push people back to us being creatives.
Yeah.
I think that'll be our last thing that we just won't let automate. I don't think we'll let AI take over music or art or painting. I still think there should be graphic designers, even though AIs can do a pretty good job right now. I think it is more of, again, AI designers being helped with AI in certain tasks, right? Not being completely replaced. But if we
we can stay connected and grounded enough to not lose touch with the creative side of ourselves.
I think that's the natural expression of human.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a Christian, again, you're image bearers of Christ, of God, of the Creator, which means that you bear Creator within you. And that's not the people who are saying, I am God and God is me. It's no, it's like we carry that desire to create. And I don't think that can be quenched.
Yeah.
In any capacity. But I think that even if AI took away everything, I think it's more the importance of what we're doing now, even creating a community. Because I think that's the ultimate currency. No matter what happens, is attention and having a community and being able to help others, because I think that's what we'll rely on. If everything else was automated, we would still create, and that would be our currency, is what we create.
Interesting. I have to sit with that for a bit. It's definitely an interesting take, for sure.
I could be wrong about all this, and I'm okay going out on a limb. But I don't see people talking about these topics specifically. I'm okay with being wrong. But not everything's as it seems. And I feel like AI is just like with politics. You either fall on one end or the other.
Right.
I just don't feel it. I don't feel like anyone's talking about nuance.
Yeah.
Or people working with it enough to know, what is the actual capabilities here?
Yeah.
Because I've seen way too many people try to shoehorn AI into stuff. I've seen, in being a prior VP of sales, and my background has been startups and software startups. Every company is a .ai. Every company's .ai. Why? Because it's a marketing thing. AI is a marketing ploy more than it is a utility in most of our software these days.
Interesting.
It's what blockchain was 10, 15 years ago. Everything was about the blockchain. I mean, similar to why hasn't Bitcoin taken over our currency? Or any of those altcoins? They've been saying for years, dude, you need to buy it. Yeah, maybe again, I could be wrong. I think AI is falling into the same place as cryptocurrency, and is that it absolutely has utility? Is it to the extent and exponential, just compounding growth? Yeah, I mean, it has a ton of value. Bitcoin does, but where's the utility that everyone was talking about? It's not there. It's still not there. It's just a currency. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where it's going. Oh, I was saying in regards to startups. Again, you have to forgive me. With it being so late, I cannot keep a train of thought to save my life. With it being bedtime in 20 minutes. In working with startups, why is every company .ai? Is because it is a marketing opportunity. if you're going to choose a tool and you're going to choose a tool with AI, which one do you think you're going to go with as a normal consumer and business owner?
Just a tool.
You're going to go with the
You'll
tool
have
with
the two
AI.
camps. You'll have the two
True.
camps.
But most people think AI is the superpower and they don't understand it enough to, or what the utility is more of what AI actually does and what it's good at, to look at it through clear enough eyes to go, is there actually utility for the thing I'm buying here? Like, is there any utility into me having AI into this thing? Because every founder that we talked to who wanted to start a startup and they wanted to include AI was almost always obsolete. And oftentimes they were trying to shoehorn a business model with AI being the shine to the crap. Just because you slap AI on just because you slap AI on the label doesn't mean it makes it cool or have any utility. And that's what most people do, is they have a really weak business idea and they think AI will solve their problems, but it's not. It's really good at processing language. And so if that's what you're doing, then hey, yeah, you're good. But if you're expecting it to do something that it just can't do within limitations, then it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so we have all these AI companies that they just have this, they have a core product and offering, and then they have some cheeky little feature that like that hardly does anything. That's not to the core offering, but hey, they can say they're an AI company.
Yeah.
It just shows you that it's another indicator to all that what I'm saying, that it's not all that it seems. And a lot of people don't understand that quite yet.
Yeah. Valid points.
Anyways, use AI or don't. It's a good tool for, I find it good for iterating and refining, or I like for it to take something from like 80% that I've written to 100%, or take something just completely chaotic and provide some order so that I can then build upon it.
Yeah.
Those are the things that AI is really good at.
And you use AI for our Instagram too.
Yeah.
And
But everything I write in there is still through my own hand.
Right.
AI takes what we've talked about and gives me a template of what it thinks it wants me to say, considering what I've said and what our demographic is. And then I go and hand type and refine and edit and make sure it's me at the end of the day. And I think those are things that it's really good at, is refining and ideating. But just don't let it do it all, because then you just won't have anything at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you let it ideate and then refine and then you just
none
don't have a
of
voice.
it's you. Yeah.
That's when it
Completely
becomes,
lost your voice.
you can tell.
Yeah.
It's because there's no heart there.
Right.
There's no genuine
Yes.
tone
There's
or
still
voice.
something about the human creation side of things that it cannot recreate.
And if AI
you
was
can tell.
if we were on the cusp of super intelligence, wouldn't it pick it up?
Yeah, maybe.
Wouldn't it pick it up that we noticed that our human insights can smell AI written content, but AI can't reverse engineer AI proof AI written content.
Right.
It's like even the whole slash marks, or what is it called?
Oh.
What are those hyphens called?
Yeah, I can't remember. You're asking the wrong person.
I am. But even
We're
like
as
those are
tired as
dead
each other.
giveaway. Like, wouldn't you know after a while that
Yeah.
people know that that's written by AI, and wouldn't even the prompt engineers pick up on that?
Right.
Again, not saying that I could be totally wrong. Not to say that I am all knowing. I'm just saying there's a lot of cracks in the foundation of what people are saying is we're going to build a god in computer form. I still know about that.
Yeah. Sweet.
Anything else?
That's it for me. It's fun talking through these ideas with you.
Yeah. So again,
let us know where you guys fall.
Yeah, where do you fall in AI? Is it a utility? Do you say forget it? Again, this is us documenting our journey. of entrepreneurship while raising 4 kids. And we are really just going through topics, whether it be something we're dealing with, something that we're thinking through, or a current stage in a business. And we are not here to preach from a soapbox. We are here to document and give our opinions.
We're not here to sell anything.
We have nothing to sell you.
Nothing.
We don't even have any sponsors.
Yet.
And so we don't have an MLM. We don't have a course. None of that. All we ask is that if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, all the cliche things.
Yeah.
Check us out elsewhere on Instagram and give us your feedback on what are some things you would like to see, or what are some challenges in your business, and maybe we'll feature it on the next episode or answer your question directly.
Sweet.
This has been the Panicking Podcast. Thanks for watching.